This is a book called The Last Little Cat by Meindert DeJong. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. The drawings are by Jim McMullan. Part 1. Believe it, it would seem that the last little cat was born in the last place a cat should be born, even a last little cat. The little black kitten was born in a kennel, and it was the last kitten of a whole litter of kittens. 6 kittens had been born, and after that the last little cat still was born. Born in a nest, mind you, in a chicken nest, in a barn that was now a dog kennel. The barn had once been a chicken barn, but now it was full of dogs, and dog cages, and dog noises, and dog din. Up from the floor of the barn rose the cages, rows and rows of cages, cages above cages, floor low and man high. And in each and every cage, floor low to man high, was a barking dog. There were dogs in all the cages, all kinds of dogs, but all of them were barking dogs. There were no quiet dogs. Not in any of the cages, floor low, man high, any quiet dogs, except one. This one quiet dog was in a cage set on top of the row of cages against the end of the wall of the barn. Set on top of the other cages this way, this dog's cage was higher than man high, and almost higher than a man could reach. The dog was there in a cage set by itself, because he belonged to the man who owned the kennel barn. The dog was blind. He was the kennel man's own dog. He was so old that he was blind and stiff. He was so old that he was almost deaf, and he could smell but little. But he could feel. He could feel hunger and thirst, and warmth and cold, and love and kindness, and loneliness and longing. He could still feel all of that. But he was so old that he was blind and quiet. It could be seen that the barn that was now full of dogs and dog noises and din had once been a chicken barn. Against the end wall of the barn there still were chicken nests, one upon the other. But now they weren't chicken nests with straw in them. They were or eggs in them, and chickens laying eggs in them. Now they were just empty cubbyholes to put things in for dogs. But the highest row of cubbyhole nests was higher than man high, and higher than a man could reach. It was even higher than the high cage of the old blind dog. This top row of chicken nests had not been cleaned out of the straw and filled with things for dogs. And in the straw of one of those nests, where chickens once had laid their eggs, the mother cat had put her young. Her whole litter of 6 kittens, and then still the last little black kitten. It was a strange place for a mother cat to have her kittens, in a chicken nest in a kennel full of dogs. But there was no other secret, hidden, unseen place for this mother cat to have her young. She belonged in the kennel barn. She lived there. She was kept there to keep down the rats and the mice that stole the food from the dogs. So it was there that she had to have her kittens, and no other place. The high cubbyhole chicken nest was far too small for a litter of 6 kittens, and then still the last little black kitten. Oh, the first 9 days when the kittens still were blind and small, there was room in the nest for them all, and the mother. But there was no place for the last little cat for milk from the mother. The 6 kittens took all the places for milk. There was no place until the other 6 kittens were done with drinking milk. Then there was a place, but then there was no milk. The 6 other little kittens drank the milk and grew and grew. I'll show you the kitten litter. But as they grew, the nest grew smaller and smaller. Then there was hardly any place at all in the nest for the last little cat. Always the last little cat was at the outermost edge of the nest. It would try to snuggle itself warm against the other kittens, but at the outer edge it would only get half warm. It was always half cold. It was half warm and half cold and all hungry, and it needed to be full and warm, full of lovely warm milk and warm. On the 9th day came the time for the kittens to open their eyes. In the morning of the 9th day, the 6 kittens opened their eyes, and in the late afternoon, the last little cat opened its eyes. When the little cat opened its eyes, it, as always, was at the outermost edge of the nest. Its little head was pushed over the edge. You see it there, the last little black kitten? The little cat opened its eyes and looked down at the barking dogs in the barn. Of course, the little cat did not see all the dogs, or all the long rows of dog cages. It could not see that far with its brand new eyes. All it could really see was the high cage of the old dog just below the high nest. The old dog did not look up at the last little cat. The old dog was blind. But with its new eyes, the last little cat looked down on the old quiet dog. After the day of the opening of eyes came another great day. On this day the mother cat took her kittens out of the nest by the scruffs of their necks, and one by one she carried them down to the floor to get them used to the barking dogs. But when she had carried the 6th kitten down, she did not come back for the last little cat. The little cat was too weak and scrawny and wobbly to be out of the nest. Down on the floor, the mother cat put her tail up straight and calm and wise, and led her 6 little kittens through the barn among the cages of the barking dogs, to show and to teach her kittens that they need not be afraid of dogs in cages. Then, just like their mother, the 6 little kittens put up their slim little pencil tails up straight and walked in single file behind their mother among the cages of dogs, and they were not afraid. The last little cat wanted to join the parade of 6 kittens, even if, as the last little cat, it would have to come up last with its little pencil tail up. The little cat scrambled out of the high nest to join in the pencil tail parade of the kittens. Just a little while before the parade of the mother cat and the kittens, the man had brought the old dog a bowl of warm milk. Now the last little cat was pulling itself over the edge of the high nest. The old dog, carefully, neatly, because he was blind, was lapping his milk from the white bowl. And then the little cat fell. But the last little cat did not fall all the way to the floor. It fell on top of the cage of the old blind dog. The old deaf dog did not hear the little cat fall on the wire top of his cage. The old dog went on lapping his lovely warm milk. On top of the cage, the little cat picked itself up and tried to get down to its mother and the 6 kittens on the floor. The little cat, though, could not walk on wires. It slipped. It managed to catch itself by its front paws. It managed to hook its little thin nails around one of the wires, and there it hung from the wire. But the last little cat could not hang from the wire for very long, and again the little cat fell. It fell right into the cage of the old blind dog. It fell on top of the dog, right on his head. The jar of the little cat's fall on his head made the old dog's whole chin dip into the milk, down to the bottom of the deep white bowl. The old blind dog jerked up his chin out of the milk so hard that he tipped the bowl over. The milk spilled out into the sawdust on the floor of the cage, and the old dog growled. The milk was gone. The bowl lay tipped, and the little cat lay behind the tipped bowl. The old dog could not see, and could hardly hear, could hardly smell, but he reached out over the tipped-over bowl to feel what had happened in his cage. Then, over the tipped bowl, the old dog touched the little cat with his milk-wet chin. Immediately, the little cat stood up. The little cat reached up, and the little cat touched its mouth to the old dog's milk-wet chin. Then the little cat tasted milk, warm milk. The little cat began to scrub the old dog's chin for the lovely taste of the warm milk. The old dog could still feel. He loved the feel of the rough scrubbing tongue of the little cat. He stretched down to the little cat to be scrubbed still more, still better. With his little pencil tail up, the little cat stood between the stretched paws of the dog and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed his chin. It soothed the old blind dog, and it made him sleepy. Slowly his sleepy chin came down over the little cat between his paws. The little cat tucked itself down in under the dog's woolly chin, and there the little cat found it was warm. They both became warm and sleepy together, and they slept together there in the cage with the tipped-over bowl.